Within the senior gilt division, entry number 8 is the white belted white and red entry. That certainly gives us a lot of correctness, I think, when we talk about her roundness of over her top and her rump. I really like how she blends in smoothly up through her head and her neck and gives us a decent amount of extension up front and kind of carries that through her rib shape and dimension on back. In addition to, she appears to have a decent amount of thickness and stoutness there over her top, and specifically there from her hooks and her pins on down to the ground. She looks like she's adequate as well there for her width of base, kind of a decent combination female within this class. Entry number 9 is the ginger and black spotted entry. Maybe is a little bit shorter in her overall body type and her kind. We appreciate that stoutness over her top. She's really wide, it looks like, up through her forehead, really wide in her ear placement as well. She gives us some extra flexibility and durability we appreciate. She really takes a big old deep and long step there off of those hind legs and gives us a lot of correctness there in her structure, and we appreciate that about her. She too gives us a good amount of decent shape there for her rib shape and dimension. Ideally, I might power her up a little bit as she goes away from me, give her some more shape to the lower portion of her rump and her ham and open her up with a little more squareness and with the base there as she tracks away, but a good durable type of a female here within this class. Entry 10, the more solid black appearing pig, I think once again is really moderate about her frame size and dimension. Looks like she's got two well positioned wattles that are snugly attached there to her jowl. At the same time too, I appreciate her ear placement. I might give her a little more elevation there at the point of her shoulder. It looks like she wants to kind of be sloping down more within her front shoulder blades. I might give her a little more length of body there too to balance her out from that standpoint in addition. But it looks like she's got a good amount of rib shape and dimension to her. It looks like she's very flexible there on the drive as well. Entry number 11 is the black and white spotted entry. A pig that maybe could be a little bit stouter there in her bone work. We appreciate obviously that she can keep her head up and on the drive and on the move, and gives us a lot of style and a balance there from a profile standpoint. She is a little more rounded, I guess, when we talk about from her top shape. I prefer to blend her in at the point of the shoulder over that roundness and level her out just a bit, but certainly she gives us a good amount of shape and dimension there to her. I probably more ideally would want to stouten her up within her bone work today compared to some of the contemporaries. Entry number 12, the ginger and predominantly black spotted entry, gives us a decent amount of width and structure, and clearly can get out here and move fairly sound and easy from that standpoint. We appreciate that depth of body, that brood sow potential that she certainly has. At the same time too, she obviously can be flexible out here on the drive as well. She has a decent amount of natural thickness and stoutness up front and kind of carries that clear through to her rib shape on back from behind as well. I appreciate all of that about her. At the same point in time, I might square her up and strengthen her up there just a little bit. It looks like on her front pasterns, but certainly one that gives us some squareness and some dimension and depth of body there as she goes away. Entry 13, really big and massive there in her rib shape and dimension, thick and stout up over that top line. Really good when we talk about where that top line needs to be and how it blends in smooth there to her hooks and her pins and carries it on down even. We talk about that tailhead setting and structure as well. So a nice conformation and balance there within this entry. I really appreciate that body and that power that she possesses. I might want to drop down. It looks like one of those wattles a little bit there to be a little bit more maybe uniform from that standpoint, but certainly she's a big, deep-bodied, powerful entry. Entry number 14 is black with some bigger white spots and dimensions underneath. Certainly one that has a decent amount of width of chest and width going. We appreciate that stoutness, really big and thick and massive over those shoulder blades and carries that dimension on down. I might power this one up and give it a little more depth of flank to balance that forerib that this hog has, but certainly one that we admire, as I said, for her stoutness as well. She maybe could be a little bit more flexible off of those hind legs, and we give her just a tick more extension up through that head and that neck today. Senior Gilt Division, heat number 2, entry number 15, the deep red gingered belted female. I think once again really best combined structure and volume to the highest degree, and I really appreciate that extension she has up in her neck and carries that through from her forehead on down. I think once again she blends in really well in the front 1/3 of her body and gives us a good amount of depth of body and structure at the same time. I think she offers us a good amount of breed characteristics with her ear placement as well as her wattles. And in addition to, I think once again, she takes a big deep stride off of those rear legs and really tucks them up underneath her, but she has amount of width and correctness there to carry that. Just a nice complete female. I think that balances up extremely well and is very complete at the same time. Entry number 16, kind of the darker belted female. I think once again, she's balanced really well from the perspective of being thick. So she's got thickness clear from her forerib on back to her flank. She's big in her rump shape and definition. She's got a decent amount of structure and correctness. I'd like to give her some elevation on those front pasterns if I can. I'd extend her out and make her a little bit prettier if I could for that terminology up through that head and that neck. She really wants to be short up to that nose placement and maybe a little bit of an underbite or overbite, in that position. We need to change her there in her mouth formation, but a really nice female, I think, just needs to have a little more extension at the same time. Entry number 17 is a little more difficult to evaluate. She doesn't want to move too well within the video, but certainly she's really bulky when we talk about up to that head and that neck. I need to extend that out to balance that female on out. I think she's thick up front and you know, gives us a good amount of volume there to her. I can't analyze her too well from a structural standpoint because she just doesn't want to move too well within her video, but a good color pattern for that entry. I just need her to move out a little bit more and maybe not quite have as much condition at this stage of the game for her to be balanced up a little bit nicer. Entry number 18, the dark gingered female. I think once again she wins on skin and hair coat. You want to talk about one that's really has a nice coat there to her. I really appreciate that about her at the same point in time. I think once again she balances up extremely well. She's deep within her body and deep within her structure. Very sound out here on the move. I might give her just a bit more elevation if I could at the point of the shoulder and maybe those front pasterns, but she certainly gets out there with a lot of athleticism and structure, balances up extremely well with a beautiful hair coat today. Entry number 19, maybe a little bit rougher in her appearance today, but certainly one that we admire there for her depth of body and her stoutness there as well. It looks like she possesses a high quality underline with her teats being more snugly attached to the abdominal wall. She too is big and bold within her rib shape and gives us a good amount of depth of body at the same point in time. To balance her up a little bit more, I may give her just a bit more extension up through her head, but certainly one that has a good amount of stoutness there and formation. She ideally could move a little bit more flexible if we want to talk about flexibility on those front feet. Certainly make her get out there and move a little bit better with some flexibility as well. But a good deep-bodied female that's got a lot of potential there at the same time. Entry number 20, kind of the blonder version, comes out next, and one that once again, the front feet and legs we might want to change a little bit. She's more labeled within motion there on the concrete, and certainly she needs to be a little more elevated her pastern set and being stronger with where she's at within her pasterns. She's really big and bulky when we talk about that jowl, and maybe has a good amount of depth of body to go with that, but I need to change that to make it a little more attractive, I think, in the front 1/3 of her body to match up with that body and power that she possesses kind of on the back half at the same point in time. Entry number 21, I think, is a very sound structured entry when we talk about some soundness. We look at her from her circumference of bone, and I would like to stouten this one up with a bigger foot and heel. Certainly make her stouter in her overall kind. I think in general, though, she balances up fairly well. She's fairly decent within her structure when in motion. She's got a good amount of width of base from behind. I think from a balance standpoint, I would like to make her more bulky or thicker there in the lower portion of her rump to balance out. her depth of body and in the possession that she has in the front 1/3 up through that head and that neck. She gets a little bit ill balanced, I guess, when we talk about the rump not matching the front, but certainly a real sound structured entry for the most part. That's got a good amount of volume. I just want to stouten her up and make her better balanced. For selection here of your champion senior gilt, we look at the heat winners from heat 1 and heat 2, and I think once again both of these females are very sound in their structure, give us a good amount of volume and are balanced up, maybe a little bit nicer than some of their comparative contemporaries that they had within those heats. These two females are by far your sounder structured entries that give us a little more higher quality, I think, in comparison to the others. Between the two, I think, in my opinion, personal opinion here, I think they're both high quality. My preferred placement for your champion, I would select entry number 15. I think once again just bounces up a little bit better when we talk about how well they blend in from that neck and the shoulder junction and balance up from a profile standpoint. Just a really good high quality female to win that division. For reserve champion, then for me it's going to be entry number 12. Once again, the other extremely sound structured entry that gives us a good amount of width from behind, very flexible. In comparison to our champion, I might clean that one up just a little bit in the front 1/3 to make it a little bit prettier and balanced up if I can, but certainly the good combination female that really best combines structure, volume, and feminine traits there at the same time. Honorable mention for me for 3rd overall is going to be entry number 18. I think once again the hair coat and quality that goes with that and the soundness of structure certainly follows the type and kind that we had of those other two to try to maintain some consistency. These females are very good in their structure and their quality today. So congratulations today to those exhibitors for giving us a high quality set in our senior gilt division. Thank you.